Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ask Ken show. I'm so glad to have everyone tuning in today. And today's going to be a lot of fun. We have a whole bunch of questions that we have. And if you're watching this, please feel free to say hi. And yeah, let's jump right into it. So we're going to start off with our first question. Welcome, Iona. And you can go ahead and take it
It's
away.
good to be here and be back. I was away for a little while, but back and getting into the grooves of things. Excited. All right. So let's start off with the first question. When you're feeling low, depressed, blocked, how do I channel my guides? Because that's when I need them the most.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I developed a technique that I teach my students that helps a lot when, like, the ironic thing is when we're struggling and we're going through things, that's when we actually need to channel our spirit guides the most. That's when they want to help us the most. And so that's why so I recommend not just channeling guides when, during tough times, but also during the good times. So what did I do this morning before I got out of bed? I did three things. One is I put my heart on my soul and I tell myself I love me. Just self-love is such an important thing as we grow and expand and evolve
Mhm.
as a soul, and that's self-love. And then the second thing I did is I thought about all the things I'm grateful for. What am I, so grateful to be alive, to be on this planet, to, for this, whatever it might be, to have, fresh drinking water or something that for thousands of years, like, people haven't had, so like just, it could be anything, whatever it is. And then the third thing I did is I felt around me, okay, which one of my spirit guides are around me, any messages that they want to give me. And then I get up and I start my day. That's before I look at my phone, before I use the washroom, before I do anything. I always do those three things every day. I've been doing this for long over 10, 15 years now. I've been doing this. And it's just such a great way to start our day, get connected with our spirit guides. So whether it's good times or not good times, it's always important, I think, in my opinion, to channel our spirit guides and on a regular basis. And
Mhm.
so when we're going through struggles, whether it's a circumstance, whether when we're triggered or upset, here's three things that I recommend that you do. And if you're watching this, you can write these down. One is to ground yourself. How do you ground yourself? There's two ways to ground yourself. One is through your feet, where you imagine like roots coming out of your feet going deep down into the center of the earth. Now you don't have to touch the physical earth. Like in the northern hemisphere in the wintertime, that's not really practical when it's minus 20 degrees, minus 30 degrees out Celsius. It's like frostbite's a real thing and it hurts. It's not like something you play with. So putting your feet on the actual like earth, ground, mud isn't always doable, but you don't need to. You could be, when I used to work in the government, I used to be on the eighth floor of a skyscraper downtown in a big city, and I would still be able to ground. Or even if you're sitting cross-legged, you just imagine roots coming out of the sides of your feet going into the ground as you're grounding. So that's the two ways. That's one way to ground, and then the other way to ground is through your root chakra, your base chakra. Imagine like a cord coming deep, coming out of your root chakra, a cord, and then going deep into the center, the core of the earth, and then wrapping around the core of the earth and make it nice and tight, nice and taut. So not a lot of people realize that there's two ways to ground, but it's important to try to ground both those two ways. And the reason why is because the stronger we're grounded, the higher we can fly. And this is especially important when we're triggered or upset. Is sometimes what happens, and I notice this a lot with my clients, is they have this anxiety that's been built. It can happen like instantly, where this all of a sudden this anxiety just like rushes up in them, or it can
Mhm.
happen, over time, like over a week or two, and then it's building, 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 building. But when we ground, what happens is, think of it like the third prong on a plug on an outlet. It's the grounding channel, the one that goes to earth. That's what happens. So when we're not grounded, we get this like energy buildup in us, like anxiety energy buildup, not a good kind. And it's like building, building, building. And then when we ground, we can dissipate that excess buildup. So if you're watching this right now, you could actually try this. Try grounding through those two different ways. So what I recommend is you take a deep breath, And then I can actually, I'm doing it right now with you. So I'm just feeling myself like ground and anchor. And again, as we're channeling, like I've seen this so many times, is people in the spirituality industry, or people trying to get like, connected and all that, they start to float away. It's like, whoa, where are you going? Like a hot air balloon or something. They're like, get back down here, come back to Earth, right? And there's there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I do that once in a while just for fun. But what we're meant to do is we're meant to live on this earth, rock this earth, and be amazing on this earth while we're, connected. So that's what's really important, is we can channel, we can do these amazing things, and we can and then we can as we're going through and we're doing this, then what we can do is we can sorry, just give me a moment here. Just playing with this. Where did it go? We'll just leave that. And then as we're going through our life, we want to be grounded. We want to be able to connect. We want to be able to apply this in real life. And we can't do that when we're floating away. So it's really important that as we're learning to channel, as we're ascending, as we're becoming more and more spiritual, that we can actually stay relatable and on this earth and apply our channeling techniques in our everyday life as we're maneuvering through these different events. Does that make okay?
Yep.
So then what I recommend we do is center ourselves. So a lot of times when we're going through a situation or circumstance, we're either living in the past, we're worried about or we're concerned or regret, shame, guilt, would have, should have, could have about what happened in the past, and our energy scattered in the past, and that's not helpful at all. And so we're also could be potentially like projecting ourselves forward into what might happen in the future, what the worry, the oh no, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. So our energy is scattered in either the past or the future. And so what we want to do is we want to center ourselves. Okay, so we want to gather all that energy from the past, bring it to the present, gather all that energy, bring it to the present, and then from the future, bring it to the present, and then center ourselves. So we're present, we're right here, right now. And then the third thing is channel using source energy. So a lot of times we use our own energy, our chi energy, our ki, chi, prana, dantian energy. It's not that it's bad or wrong to use that during certain circumstances. It's fine, it's great, but there's no need to use it during channeling. When we use it during channeling, we could drain ourselves, kind of like the battery on our phone. It drains ourselves. So instead, we can connect to source energy and have infinite amount of source energy connected to us. And then so go ahead and just allow the source energy to come in and to really fill us full of that source energy. So you can try it right now. I'll get you if you're watching this. Everyone take a nice deep breath. Ground, center, channel using source energy. Okay. And then by doing this, you're more likely to be able to now connect with your spirit guides. So the most important times, of course, channeling your spirit guides when you're not triggered, when you're not upset, when you're not going through stuff. But the most important times when you need to channel them is when you're going through stuff. When shit's hitting the fan, you're going through life's going on, all that stuff. That's when we need them the most, and we need it to be live oftentimes. And so it doesn't matter. You could be at work and you all of a sudden get triggered, or something's hitting you. Maybe you get a phone call, or maybe it's something from your boss or a coworker, or who knows. It could be lots of things. It doesn't mean you have to wait until you get home to do this. You can do this live right in that moment. Just take a deep breath. No one needs to know that you're doing this, that you're grounding. Just go. And you could do it subtly, discreetly. No one needs to know this. And then you reconnect and establish connection with your spirit guides, and then get their guidance. So a little tip on this, and this is actually a pretty advanced technique, is what our spirit guides reside where? In the astral. They have a higher perspective than us. They can see things from a perspective that we may not be able to when we're in the weeds, when we're in the bushes, when we're, getting the thorns and the cuts and the scrapes and all that. And they can see things that from their perspective in this astral realm that we may not be able to. And so a little tip on this is that what you can do, and what I something I figured out over many years, is that whenever I'm going through a situation or circumstance, I take a moment and I try to usually, when I first started developing this technique, it took me sometimes weeks to eventually do this, but now I try to do it right away in the moment. Is the technique that I do, and if you're watching this and you want to write this down, is whenever you're going through a situation or circumstance, ask your spirit guides right away, what's your perspective on this? What's your viewpoint on this? What's really going on here? And you're going to find usually one of two things. Sometimes a situation might be going on and it actually has nothing to do with you. It's just happen chance. There's just something going on that, maybe somebody's being a jerk or had a bad day and they're taking it out on you and you think it's, all about you, and now you're taking it personally. And then your guide's like, Ken, it's actually nothing to do with you. It's just them. They're going through their stuff. And you're like, oh, okay. You can have compassion for them, maybe have some forgiveness, maybe not take it personally. And then it helps to change the paradigm, the perspective really quick, really fast. But don't wait. Like, don't wait a week or 2 weeks. Sometimes that's what I used to do. Like, try to do it quicker, like within a few hours, within a few days for sure. Preferably on the spot in the moment is even better. And then the second thing that might also happen, and you can ask this as well, is how can I resolve the situation? And they might give you some ideas and suggestions that you never considered. And so remember that, like, our spirit guides reside in the fourth dimension in the astral realm. So think of it like if we're in the beads, in the weeds and the bushes, and we're getting all the scrapes and scratches and all that. They might be like, "Hey, Ken, just take a step over," and you don't see it from here, but just take a step over, and there's a path that you don't need to get all scraped in. It's a smooth, easy path out of this problem, that mess that you're in. And you're like, oh, what? Really? I don't see it. But they're like, just do it. Just do it. So you take a step over, and then you're like, oh, this has been here the whole time? Thank you. That's so good to know. And then you cruise out of that situation and circumstance. So, um, yeah, please, 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 when you're going through a situation or circumstance, that's when your spirit guides want to help you the most. When you're going through a situation or circumstance, that's when you need to channel your spirit guides the most. So try to have humility, try to have, like enough, humility is the best word. And to just go, okay, Ken, what do my spirit guides want to say about this situation? What do my spirit guides want to say about this circumstance? How can they help me? How can they support me through this? So we have a question coming in from Easy. He's one of my clients out in the Carolinas, in the east coast of the U.S. Um, since animals are in the animal realm and there are souls in the same as our, are there souls in the same as our souls? I think not, but everyone tells me I am wrong. Okay, so since animals are in the animal spirit realm and their souls in the same as our souls. Okay, so there's three different realms, and there's the astral realm, there's the in-between realm, and then there's the animal spirit realm. So we won't talk about the in-between realm right now because that's a different topic. But what we're talking about is the animal spirit realm and the astral realm, which is where souls go. When we die and we cross over, we go to the astral realm to be with our soul family. This is where there's 5 different kinds of souls in the astral realm. There are random souls, there are ascended master souls, there are loved one souls, there are soul family members, and then there's our spirit guides. So those are the 5 different kinds of souls in the astral realm. And then there's a whole different separate realm, which is the animal spirit realm. And the animal spirit realm are for animal souls. So things like deer or cats or dogs or birds or you name it, right? That's where these animal souls go, and also totem animals as well reside in the animal spirit realm. When I teach my animal communication workshop, my full weekend certification workshop, I delve into depth the difference between the astral realm and the difference between the animal spirit realm, and it's completely different. I have my students go in and they're like, "Wow!" Like, and we describe the difference versus astral realm versus animal spirit realm, and then we also go into the difference between a human soul and an animal soul, and they're completely different. They are. So a lot of there's these theories out there that, oh, I was a certain animal in a past lifetime. The soul of a human is created differently. Not that we're better or worse. So get away from this whole, like, we're human and we take dominion over this planet and we can, do whatever we want to it. No, like, that really bothers me, actually. Like, we coexist with this beautiful planet, and we're meant to treat animals and our planet with respect and reverence and honor and sustainability and all that other stuff, and not just this planet Earth, but when we incarnate on other planets, the same philosophy applies to those other planets as well, that we're meant to treat these planets with respect and honor and reverence, and the plants and the earth and everything else. So the souls are actually significantly different between a human soul and an animal soul. It's not that we're better or worse, they're just different. So the differences are, and again, I'm not putting anything down, it just is the way it is. So animal souls tend to be simpler, and they tend to be more like nature based and more primal based. Like they're based on like basic needs. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they're based on things like food and survival and very primal instinct, kind of like energy is an energy of an animal, and an animal soul. And then humans are more complex. They're more into societal things and culture and and other factors. They're much more complex kind of soul. Um, Souls of animals tend to be more like smaller, a bit more like simpler and basic, and whereas human souls are larger, they tend to be more complex, they tend to have more sophistication to them, and like soul's purpose, why am I here, like they take into factors a lot of like, what's my mission in this lifetime, what am I here for, and not so much with animal souls. Again, it's not better or worse, they're just completely different. So I get this question quite often, like, can we incarnate as an animal in another lifetime? The answer is no. That hasn't been my experience. When humans, if you look back at past lives, so one of the things I do with my students is past life regression, and I've done thousands of them, if not tens of thousands. They don't reincarnate as animals, they reincarnate as humans on planet Earth many, many, many hundreds, maybe thousands of times, or they've incarnated in different star systems as humanoid kind of figures or humanoid kind of creatures, but we're still same humanoid kind of factors. So that's the difference between a soul of an animal and a soul of a human. Okay. So good question. Thank you, Easy. Thank you for asking. And if you're watching the Ask Ken show, feel free to give your name and where you're from. I will give you a shout out. And also, if you have any questions about channeling, go ahead and ask, and I will live channel the answers. Whoop, whoop.
Good. All right. So we're just going to continue on to the next question. So how do I start off my questioning with my spirit guides?
Say that question again. How do I what?
How do I start off my questioning with my spirit guides?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Okay, there's two different ways that I suggest people channel their spirit guides. So the one way is, as you're going through your everyday life, when you notice their presence, don't ignore them anymore. Because what happens is, oftentimes they're trying to get our attention, and there's a gazillion different ways they could be getting our attention. When you feel their presence, just try to, what I used to do when I was working like a government job, I would purposely go somewhere quiet. Like, I'd feel their presence and I'd feel them nudging, trying to get my attention. So then what I would do is I would, find somewhere quiet to go, or sometimes I would go to the washroom, and I would sit in the stall, sit in the can, close the door, and then I wouldn't even use the washroom. I would just sit there for like 5 minutes, channel my spirit guides, and then I would get out and pretend I would like use the washroom, flush the toilet, and wash my hands, and I didn't even use the washroom, and then leave. But I would go find somewhere. Sometimes I would go to, like, if I could, like on break time, I would excuse myself. I'd go to break, like a park bench outside, or if I'd go to my car, I'd close the door and I'd sit there and I'd connect with my spirit guides. So the two things that I recommend you do is, one is when they're trying to get your attention, then what you do is find somewhere quiet to go sit and channel them. Okay. And then do that process that I just took you through: ground, center, channel using source energy, and then establish connection, and then start getting messages from them. Okay. The second thing that I recommend you do is allocate time throughout your day to purposely connect with your spirit guides. So that's what I said earlier, where every morning what I do is, when I get up, I before I get out of bed, is I put my hand on my soul, tell myself I love me, feel all the things that I'm grateful for, and then I feel around me who's around me for my spirit guides. I connect with whichever one or ones are around me, and then I start receiving messages, and I do that. And then I do that throughout the day as well. I do that in the morning on purpose, because I find that if I start my day like that in the morning, then I'm more likely to continue that throughout the day, rather than it being like 7, 8 o'clock at night. And it's like, well, what about the last 12 hours or 16 hours of the day? Where'd those hours go? So that's why I try to do it first thing in the morning. And then I'm more likely to do it throughout the rest of the day. So two things is, as you feel their presence, don't ignore them, connect with them, try to get messages from them, and then purposely allocate time out of your day to sit down and connect with your spirit guides. Now, when it comes to, there's two things that you're going to find, and this is true for me as well, is I have some things on my mind, things that are bothering me, things that I need clarification on, things that I need guidance on. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I take this job or should I take that job? Should I apply for this? Should I make this decision or that decision? So I already have topics that are, or maybe there's a situation or circumstance that's bothering me, and then I could ask my whichever spirit guide helps me with that area of my life to come in and support me on that area of my life, and then ask that guide for questions. But sometimes there's no real agenda. And I like to do this as well. So don't think that the only time I go to my guides is when there's situations, circumstances going on. Try to sit down and just let whoever is going to come in to come in. So oftentimes what I do when I'm working with my spirit guides is I start from a large level, like a granular level, not granular, but a macro level, like a big perspective. Okay, so what area do we want to start with? And then what I do is I start to narrow it down. So again, let's say it's career, and I go, okay, well, which area do you want to talk with me about? And they're like, okay, it's career. Okay, what do you want to tell me about career? Oh, it's about my job. Okay, what do you want to tell me about my job? And it's like, okay, I want you to learn about different software systems. Oh, okay. Which one in particular? Oh, that one that your boss has been bugging you for the last couple weeks or your manager's been bugging you the last couple weeks to learn. Okay. Okay. Now, anything else you want to tell me about so now what I'm doing is I'm going from the macro level down to the micro level, and I'm getting more specific, more tightening up the questioning. And then, what else do you want to tell me about my job or about work in general or my career? Oh, I want to tell you about there's to maybe consider going back to school. Oh, okay, to do what? To take what? Get that certification so that when a job opening comes up, whether it's in your own company, internal, or another company, that you're more qualified to be able to get that position. And then so you work with your spirit guides in this sense, where you start with the macro and then you go to the micro. The reason why I suggest this is because if we go too quickly to the micro, you might be missing the bigger picture. So you want to always get the bigger picture in mind as you're doing this. So let's say, for example, you're single, and you right away you go straight to, oh, where is this man in my dreams, and my partner, the one who's supposed to come in, and you go straight to that, and then you miss the bigger picture, which is they're like, hey, you know what, maybe you're just meant to be single for a while. Just don't focus on that. Instead, focusing on how you can be a better partner, how you can be a better person, so that you can attract that man of your dreams. For example, maybe they're like, okay, put that aside for a while and maybe focus on your healing journey. Maybe attend Ken's monthly ascension group healing that I do on a monthly basis, and maybe focus on getting out of debt and paying off your debt. So you're not, when you do meet the man of your dreams, you don't have a ton of debt, because a lot of times that could be an obstacle for a long-term healthy relationship. There's two things that a lot of times couples like have: counseling training, therapy training, psychology training, relationship training, of all sorts of different trainings. And the two main things that couples fight about are sex and money. So if you can take care of the money part and start that now, so that when you do meet that person of your dreams, you're like, oh yeah, I have my finances in order and everything's going good, or whatever it might be. It might be cleaning your place, so that if you meet that guy random chance and you're like, hey, you're kind of cute, you want to come over, and you're like, yeah, sure, and your place is nice and clean, it's and it's basically within 10-15 minutes you can clean it up, and it's good to go. Or and they say, like, if you're single, put two pillows and two beds, two pillows. So what's the other one for? It's for that partner that's coming along that you're attracting, things like that. So start with the bigger picture, and then go more into the tighter, more micro messages. So really, really good question. um, we have another um, Carol is here, Easy's daughter and a student. Oh, hey, good to see you. That's been years. From the Carolinas. So thank you for coming in. Shout out to her. And oh, we also have Kevin Hughes. Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to be doing an interview with him on his podcast coming up in a few days, actually.
Oh, cool.
Good to hear from you, Kevin. Yeah, that's going to be exciting. Um, okay, let's see. Have angels lived on Earth? If so, how many? Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. I love Kevin always pushes me to the limit. Always, I love it. I love it. Okay, so actually, angels. So okay, I'm gonna take a step back here. Are beings. Beings don't have souls, and humans have souls, and animals have souls, and things like that. In order to incarnate, you have to have a soul to incarnate. It's impossible not to. Our container, our body needs a soul to operate the machine, to operate the meat suit, the skin, the whatever you want to call it. This body of ours. So if we don't have a soul, what happens is when we die, our soul leaves our body, and then our body collapses, and then our soul leaves and goes back to the astral realm. And the same thing also applies. It is very, very, very rare for an angel to incarnate on Earth. There have been a few examples. One of them is Sandalphon, is one of them. Another one is Metatron. Metatron was another one. But it's very rare. Like there's not as much as people think, where an actual angel has incarnated on Earth. So what happens is and this is all, I'm channeling this live now. There's an actual uh, set or group of souls, kind of souls, they're special, are allocated for the rare time, the rare occasion that when a being like an angel wants to incarnate onto a planet. So then what happens is these souls, an angel, for example, will acquire a soul temporarily. It will come into the soul will come into like a mother who's pregnant, for example, and then that soul will come into the womb, and then the mother will bear this child. The child will grow up. In this case, angel will grow up and do amazing things, kind of similar to an ascended master, but maybe even at higher levels. And then when that person dies, that soul is released from the body, but then the soul that was acquired to the angel will be released as well, back into the astral realm. So there's a special set of specialty souls that are dedicated just for these rare occurrences that happen on planet Earth. And when I say rare, I mean very rare. Like, um, Archangel Metatron incarnated tens of thousands of years ago. It was so long ago. But when he did incarnate, he imparted a lot of the symbols and sigils that we use today in this modern day and modern era, has helped with mathematics and other functions that we have with our modern science. So it's actually can be quite impactful for the planet when they do incarnate. Yeah, great question, Kevin. Oh my goodness.
Very good question.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't actually shared that into that depth for a long, long, long time, probably about 5 to 10 years. So it is actually very rare. Um, we have Deanna from Regina. Thank you, Deanna, for tuning in. I put my hand on my heart and say, I love me each morning. Also, it makes such an impact. Oh, thank you. And we have uh, Carmen tuning in from Alberta. Thank you so much, Carmen, for tuning in. And yes, Virginia Beach, that's where it is. Yes, close to Carolina. Thank you. Um, Thank you so much, Carol and Easy, for tuning in from Virginia, which is the home of Edgar Casey, right around that region, which is super exciting. Woo woo. Pioneer in this industry. Thank you. I feel so honored to have people like him and the Louise Hay um, and the other founders of this industry that have come before me. So we have a question coming in from YouTube. Do you see that one, Iona?
Yeah. So Deanna says hi, and do we know how long we spend in the astral realm between carnations?
Yes, and the Wayne Dyers and people like that. I just honor them so much. So yes, how long do we spend in between in the astral? So there's no real set time. Um, a couple things that I've noticed is that sometimes people spend hundreds or even thousands potentially of Earth years in the astral realm before they reach. Sometimes I've also where it's only a few Earth years in the astral realm before they reincarnate again. Um, so there's no real set number. I know some people, there's theologies out there where it's a certain amount of years or whatever. It's not. It's not. Let me just go through reincarnation 101 for a second. So somebody, I normally draw this out on a whiteboard when I'm doing my, is what can happen is somebody can incarnate on planet Earth and then they live for a certain period of time. I'm just using arbitrary numbers right now, but let's say the person this lifetime lives 10 years. So they live to 10 years old, and then something happens, and then they die and they cross over. And then they could be in the astral realm for, I don't know, 30 years. And then they reincarnate again. And then this next lifetime, they might live 80 years, 80 Earth years. And then they die at 80 years old, and then they die and they cross over. They go back to the astral realm to be with their soul family, and then they reside in the astral realm for, let's say, 3 years, and then they reincarnate again, which is fairly short. Like, only 3 years later they reincarnate again. That's actually fairly quickly. And then the next lifetime they live to be 43, and then at 43 years old they die and they cross over and they go back to the astral realm, and then they reside in the astral realm for maybe centuries before they reincarnate again. And it's not always on planet Earth. It could be sometimes they might incarnate on another planet, and those Earth years or alien years might be different. Like incarnating on another planet, they might incarnate for 100 years or 200 years on that other planet, but to them that might be middle age on that other planet, but it's 200 Earth years on this planet
Right.
in relevance. You have to also remember too that if you take again the big picture kind of perspective, is that when we live on this, even if somebody lives to 100 years old, we think, wow, that's such a long time. In the big picture, on a soul level, like our soul, I'm putting my hand here because that's where our soul resides. On a soul level, 100 years is like literally a little blip in the little speck of how long we've existed for. We've existed for literally like eons, and 100 years is just a little itty bitty
Into
bitty sliver of that.
Yep.
And so, yeah, but my goal in this lifetime is I ascend. How much healing can I do? How much baggage can I beliefs, how much like spiritual upgrades can I get, how much evolution can I have with my soul evolution can I have in this one lifetime, evolved and grown in this one lifetime. So that's my goal. Like that's why I do what I do, and that's why I help others do this. Because can you imagine if you were channeling at really advanced? Can you imagine if the whole entire planet was channeling at really advanced levels, and they were doing what they were really meant to do with this lifetime? How much better the world would be, but also how much their soul would evolve by them channeling on a regular daily basis. So when I say channeling, let me just be clear. I want you to channel your soul. Please do. I connect with my soul every single day. I want you to channel your higher self. These are aspects of you that are that are really important, that are really essential to your soul and your growth and your evolution as a person. Is connecting with your own aspects, and then in addition, connect with your spirit guides to co-collaborate your life, to get their perspective on things, to give you perspectives that you may not have taken into account, to help you navigate through such situations and circumstances. And not just everything's not always bad. It's like, okay, I have this idea, this project that I want to work on. How could I make it 1,000 times better than what I could have even considered? That's when your spirit guides could come in to help you with this. Like, how exciting is that? Right. So there's so many advantages to channeling and how it helps you with your soul and your soul's evolution. Really great question. And then, yeah, imagine like what it would be like when you come back next lifetime. You know, your soul has evolved so much. But I want to make it very clear. I know what I'm about to say might be controversial. There's this really amazing movie out there. It's called Cloud Atlas with Halle Berry and Tom Hanks. If you've never watched it, I highly recommend it. But it's basically where these souls have these past life encounters, and it's not just the two of them. There's other souls involved as well, and they keep having these past life encounters with each other. And I tell this to people, it's like, it's in the ideal world, you think that every single lifetime that you have is going to be a linear growth upwards, an upward growth of evolution. It doesn't work that way. I can guarantee that there's been past lives when you've been a perpetrator, when you've done horrible things, when you've done really bad things, where you maybe weren't, working in the highest values or ethics or morality and stuff like that. And then there's other ones when you were maybe like really like a saint, like you were doing really good things, not just for yourself, but for society and others as well. And then maybe the lifetime after that, you were doing really horrible things. Maybe you murdered people, maybe you hurt people, maybe you did horrible things to other people. And then the lifetime after that, maybe you're a saint and you did really good things and you helped a lot of people, and so on and so on. So don't think it's like linear like this. Our lifetimes have been like this throughout our lifetimes, and there's a whole bunch of other factors that are involved there, because
Mhm.
this is more in my level 3, my expert level, and then my mastermind classes. What I teach is that we have all these other factors that play into account when we're incarnated. So when we're incarnated, it's not just past lives that affect or influence um, us, it's our childhood. Like, what was your childhood like? I know for my mom, for example, I had a lot of like growing up with her as a child was like a lot of butting heads, and I really resented it, especially as I became a teenager, and it was very oppressive. So I became that rebel teenager that wanted to rebel against my mother because, how dare you tell me what to do? I'm not going to do, you know, fuck you, I
Mhm.
won't do what you told me kind of attitude, like the whole Rage Against the Machine kind of concept, right? And then it wasn't until I was an adult and I had an adult conversation with her and I asked her about her childhood, and I realized how much of a struggle her childhood was and some of the things that happened to her as a really, really young child. And then I had more compassion for her. It's like, wow, no wonder, you are the way you are, because of your childhood was so much heavier and rough than my childhood that I thought was so bad. And then maybe her parents, maybe their childhood was even rougher and more, you know, um, unhealthy than even her childhood and my childhood, right? So that's where the
Mhm.
compassion could come in. So it's not just about past lives. There's also about childhood traumas, and then there's also about ancestral traumas that can come down through our ancestral line, and Akashic record stuff, and a whole bunch of other factors that could influence who we are in this lifetime. Now, also, too, if you reflect back on your life in this lifetime, like your from your childhood and that, you may have gone through different phases. I know for me, there was phase like I never committed crime, I never did broke any laws, stuff like that. But there was things that I would do that was mean towards other things, other property, other people. So there was phases where I was healthier than others, and then now I feel like I'm a lot healthier, but I'm not fully healed. I still have a journey. I'm still on my way, and I still do inadvertently, not on purpose, hurt others and do mean things, but I always try to own that and apologize, make it right, because I'm human, we all are, and give myself
Mhm.
grace and not beat myself up when I do make mistakes, because we all do. Um, but then what I do is I try to, um, so look back at those times in your life. So when we look back at our past lives, and you do past life regression, don't just look back and say, okay, this lifetime was good, this lifetime was bad, this lifetime was good, this lifetime was bad. Because I guarantee if you look back at any lifetime, let's say the last one that you had, you're going to find that there were parts in those lifetimes that were good and some that maybe weren't so good. Just like in this lifetime, you've had times in your life where that were good, and sometimes times in this lifetime that weren't so good, or times in this lifetime when you were healthier, and then times in your lifetime when you weren't so healthy, and then times in your life maybe now you're healthier than you were back in your previous years, and hopefully getting healthier and healthier. And that's why I do things like my Ascension group healing on a monthly basis, to help us keep on the up and up and not revert back or slide back into those other ways. And life happens, like traumas happen, and how do we affect those traumas? One of the things that I've noticed is that sometimes what happens, I've noticed this with some of my students, I've noticed this with like loved ones and people that are close to me, is that they will be going through their life and they have all this stuff, baggage and other incidents, things, and that shapes and molds who they are. And then another incident happens and they're like, oh no, I'm never going to do that, this bad thing happened. And then another incident happens and they're like, oh, another thing, I'm not going to do this or do that. And then what happens is, over the years that I've get to know them, they put themselves more and more into a cage, and they constrict and get smaller and smaller. And it's like, and I watch this and I go to my, like, in horror, because I'm like, I don't want to do that, I don't want to be that person. And so when things happen to me, because things happen to everyone, I say to myself, how can I heal and clear this right away? It doesn't mean I don't learn from those past experiences, but I don't want to constrict myself. And maybe one time I went to a mall and I picked up like a lost soul or something that wasn't of the light, and then I make a disclaimer. Okay, I'm never going to go to the mall ever again because this one time this bad thing happened, and then you never go to the mall again. It's like, what? That's ridiculous, right? So what you do is you clear that, and then you next time you go to the mall, you're like, okay, I'm aware of it. If something happens, I can deal with it right away, and not be all like living more and more of a shallow life. Does that make sense, Iona?
Mhm.
Right.
Makes total
So
sense. Yep.
yeah, because I don't want to like keep constricting myself, and then when I get to my 70s and 80s, I'm just a shallow of a person that doesn't want to do anything, all fear-based and scared and all this. Oh,
Yeah.
last time I dated a person, this happened, and then so I don't want to date anyone ever again. It's like I just don't want to live like that. I want to live the opposite of that. I want to be very intentional about, as life happens, as I go through my life circumstances, that whenever it happens, I always ask myself, whenever something bad happens, and if you're watching this, you can down.
Yeah. I think you're freezing a bit. We're just having some technical difficulties on Ken's end. He
When something bad happens,
oh, there we go. Yeah, he sometimes loses connection. It's not always the greatest, but We'll just wait. I'm sure he'll log back in a moment. Um, and then we'll continue on. So give him a moment. Kevin, I see you. So this time you are a saint. Yeah, gotta kind of wonder, eh? Every lifetime is different. In the meantime, while we're waiting for him, I just wanted to maybe give a recommendation for Ken's Ascension Healing class as well as his channeling classes. I've taken up to level 4 now, and I attend his Ascension Healings every month. And they have done amazing. He's done amazing work. You're friends with Ken. Yeah. I mean, he does only work with the light, so you must be for sure. I'm not sure if anybody here has also attended his Ascension Healing groups. It is the second Wednesday of every month. So basically every 2 weeks, he kind of has something going. So second week, he's got the Ascension Healing, and then the fourth week, he has the Ask Ken show on a monthly basis, which is really great. One is to get. Oh, D, yeah, that was great information we were getting from Ken before he froze up. Yep. Yeah, he's amazing he's just a fountain of knowledge. He's been practicing this for a long time, so it's been really good reconnecting with him. You've been with Ken for 5 years. Cool. Good. I just reconnected with him probably like 4 years, 4 years now. Yeah, but I actually went to elementary school with him, so I know him kind of from like way back when. Went to elementary for a couple of years, and then I moved, and then we didn't reconnect until just a couple of years ago, and then I found out that this is what he was doing, and I was like, hey, I've been kind of going down my spiritual journey and wanting to reconnect with him, and it's been really good. Taking all of his courses, learning how to channel safely. That was my biggest fear when I started looking into wanting to channel and stuff was, but he's been able to teach me how to do this, amazing journey and stuff. Took my first course with Ken in 2020. Nice. Yeah, he's been really great. So maybe it's the same one I did. Oh, yeah, maybe you guys might have taken the same one. I mean, he has a lot of people that go through all of his courses for sure. Yep. What level are you guys up to? Level 1 is a great one to take. Even if you're just looking to connect with yourself. Yeah, he just kind of goes through, connecting with your chakras, your soul, your heart. And he really breaks it down. I really appreciated him Childhood. Yep. I knew him when he was a little blonde kid, super shy when in elementary school. Maybe he went to the beach. Yeah, maybe. His internet connection is really funky sometimes. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. But it's been really good. Oh, you're starting over? Well, that's all right. It's good. Oh, yeah. Kevin, you've taken everything then. He's got a mastermind class coming up shortly as well. For anybody who has taken his channeling courses up to level 3, you automatically get to go either into his 6-month mentoring program or to go continue on with the level 4. Or you can take both if you want. And then you also get access to his mastermind classes, which are really great as well. They're just 2-hour workshops that he does. You were 7 months pregnant at the time. Well, I mean, it's a good time to start anywhere. Right, you started the show with him. You know what? I have actually gone through his YouTube. So, okay, yeah, I think I know who you are. I've gone through his old ones on YouTube that he has saved there. Okay, yeah, he's having technical difficulties. So, I'm sorry we have to cut it short, but we're just gonna call it a night, and then we will see everybody hopefully next month. If not, again, just log into his. You can see him at channelinginc.com, and you can register for his Ascension Healing. That's coming up second Wednesday of March, and just remember, spirituality is meant to be fun.